Errol Spence was like, Jay, he was like, and now you got these young cats acting like they slung caps, all in they dumb raps talking about how they fun stack. When I see them in the streets, I don't see none of that. Damn, Playboy, where the face is the Hummer at? Where all the ice with all that platinum under that? Them ain't Rolex diamonds. What the face you done to that? Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Talking a little bite down boxing ahead of tomorrow's big day. Errol Spence Jr. versus Showtime, Shawn Porter. Welterweight unification bout. That's IBF and WBC. Fight week has been pretty interesting. And I think the one thing that really set things off for me, is Errol has basically bodied Shawn at the latest sit down that I saw, or was at the press conference, and just telling him, man, I ain't seen none of that. All of these exploits you talking about, all of these heroics you're talking about, and everything that you're selling yourself, I haven't seen any of that. Every fight that you've had has been razor thin. You struggle with dudes that ain't elite, that aren't world class. And, Saturday night, I'm going to wash you. And, while you can't discredit anything, Shawn's done, being a two-time, now that he's a two-time champion, a very close bout with Keith Thurman. I had to fight for him with Danny Garcia, but it was touch and go in some moments there. And like Shawn said, in world-class versus world-class fights, 50-50 real 50-50 fights, it's going to be, some back and forth. And he hasn't been stopped. And he's had some good moments and so on and so forth. But I guess for me, like Errol Spence told him, man, and that's where I'm a prisoner to is. And what I'm seeing some of us out here talking about, what is Errol gonna do when Shawn puts that pressure on him and flying in with reckless abandon and all of that. That's cool, but I didn't see none of that against Kell Brook. Actually, and like Tyson Fury said about in his assessment of Anthony Joshua in the Ruiz fight, I really felt like I saw, and this is strictly off memory. I didn't go back and watch that fight, but I vaguely recall moments in the fight against Kell Brook where I just saw a smaller, shorter man kind of back up and take them deep breaths. Had that look in his face like, I can't overcome, his physical advantages, in terms of height and length and all of that. That's what I saw in the latter part of that fight. Now, coming into this one, that's one feather in his cap that he does have. I'm speaking of Porter. He had that moment, and he felt, he saw how ineffective he became, and how some of the things that he liked to do was nullified. He has that experience to build off of. And if he runs into those same situations and meets the same kind of resistance, maybe he has some things to go into his bag, and go to a plan C or a plan D. So he does, that's one benefit of having that experience. Secondly, he also knows that there's probably not another chance. There's probably not a shot at another career-defining win. An opponent, that a win versus that opponent solidifies you as, just solidifies your name. Hell, isn't this only like the 11th fight? I want to say this is only like the 11th unification in the welterweight division. So, it's a short list that you could join there. So, but again, back to Errol Spence's points, I just didn't see him be that effective, against Kell Brook. We saw what EJ did to Kell Brook. Now, EJ doesn't move like, he doesn't utilize the ring like a Keith Thurman. He's not as agile, and light on his feet as him. So, but I expect him to push forward, jab at a good clip, circle around. I don't see him backing up, whether he's fighting back with hitting him with some shots coming in, or whether they're turning and, circling, or whether they just go chest to chest and they work it out, or they get broken up or something, or he leans on Shawn, puts his weight on him. I don't really see Errol Spence backing up all night, and I think starting in the second, late third round, we'll see. We'll have a good idea of what kind of night it could be for both guys. So look, I'm not gonna get fully into what I want. My whole thing. Check me out tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern time. Right here on the Pay Me No Mind channel. I'm gonna do 30, 45 minutes. I got a guest scheduled for tomorrow, but I definitely got to check in with bruh and see if he's still gonna call in or not. I'll put that out there later. Another thing, man, I'm anxious to see this Anthony Dirrell and David Benavidez fight. I think, from 160 up, I think Benavidez is one of the most exciting offensive fighters there is in the game. And Dirrell at this point, man, I mean, he's almost out of the game, honestly. And I just don't know if he wants to work as hard as I think he has to work to get this win. I mean, he's not looking to do a lot of body work. He's not looking to stay busy with the jab. I mean, he's just looking to land a shot or two, and I don't even know if he's really that defensively responsible, more so than just he's going to try to maintain his range, uses his anticipation a little bit to avoid some shots, and then kind of just mix it up, just the clinching and the just eliminate Benavidez from finding a good rhythm. Like I said, he's an exceptional offensive talent, and I think if he can get into a free, flowing punching output and find a good rhythm, that's what he wants to do. And Dirrell doesn't want to go punch for punch, and be all active like that. That's just not what he wants to do at this stage. And I think one thing, speaking of this man, the Dennis Dolan fight, I thought he could have looked a lot better. I was up in Flint that night, and it was an ugly fight. Like I said, he's mainly looking to counterpunch or, land single shots, maybe one or two. And I don't see that getting it done versus Benavidez. Now, maybe he could check Benavidez's chin. I think Benavidez was down against Gavril. And maybe he could do something there. But I think Benavidez he does some good parrying, of shots from his opponent. And and does some interesting things defensively for a big man. Plus he has that height where he can work well in space. He can sit back and see punches coming and do some different things. So it's a great crossroads fight, I guess. The belt that Dirrell has used to be Benavidez's belt. Benavidez has spoke kind of, he's belittled Dirrell and kind of been dismissive of him. So it's some bad blood there. And we'll see what happens. Dennis Dolan, Mama's boy. This stuff that we saw yesterday in the lobby, for you to have somebody filming it and to approach him and be all, I thought it was Adrian Broner for a second, and I thought it was a skit. Until I hit the volume up and I really saw what was going on. I knew Adrian wasn't that tall, but yeah, I was, you really want to engage the man and think that you're going to get a reaction out of him. And I'm on a pay-per-view card, in Los Angeles at Staples Center, in the co-main event, in a title fight. You really think I'm going to sit here and mess this up? I thought it was a very bad look for boxing, because the language had to get aggressive and foul, being, the situation that it was. And we just know that, Darrell, with this kind of, could possibly being a parachute out of the game, what would I mess up my bag for fooling around with you? And like I said, the fight in Flint, Douglas insists that he was winning, but I mean, that fight, it was a garbage main event. It was not a well-fought contest until it was stopped with the cut. It was horrible. So, you should have been doing all of this with your hands when you had the chance to. He was standing his ground and he was behind enemy lines in Flint and had talked enough stuff that week. It was a period when it was a long way to that lock to the dressing room. It was a long way for him when things popped off in there. Yeah, I do remember all of that. Yeah, it got nasty really quickly, and they don't play in Flint. Flint is it's a different breed of people. It's a different breed of cats in Vehicle City. So they calmed it down amazingly, but yeah, that was an interesting night. Anyway, man, definitely want to see what Mario Barrios does for going for this WBA title, a version of the WBA title. As we know, Regis Prograis has the big one. So let me get on out of here, man. Like I said, 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Supposed to speak with Joshua Don't Blink Greer Jr. That's supposed to be the guest. They have a great show coming up with a lot of young guns on October 26th on ESPN. The Shakur Stevenson, Yoet Gonzalez fight. Albert Bell returns on there out of Toledo. So I'm supposed to speak with Don't Blink tomorrow. We'll see if that comes to fruition. And like I said, man, bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out.